our YouTube channel. I would like to welcome all of our visitors here today. We hope you enjoy the meeting. If any visitor is interested in becoming a member, please see Ricky Walters after the meeting. I'd like to thank our volunteers for all the work they do before the meeting. Corey for being our greeter. Dave Clausen today for taking attendance. Audrey Horning for collecting your lunch money. And of course, Ricky for being the Wizard of Oz behind the scenes, and Kathy for organizing all the teams. Thank you. We got that. Pay attention, Mr. Wheeler. Okay. By the way, my name is Steve Van Dorn. This is the last meeting of my presidency. While I've been away in Europe, I became much more handsome. So, is that a good one? Thank you. Yes. So Nancy Harrington's going to lead us in the pledge.
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen.
Thank you. Please be seated. I'd like to ask Gary to be our We Care host today.
Raise your hand if you have We Care.
Oh, yeah. Acting President Bill, fellow Rotarians, I'm sad to report that Claudia Ewell, who's the widow of one of our founders, Ralph Ewell, has come home from the hospital after a stroke and is under hospice care. Please remember Claudia Ewell.
Tomorrow's her birthday. Tomorrow's her birthday. Tomorrow's her 95th birthday.
Go over here.
Jim Work's wife, June, had a stroke just a couple of days ago. She's hospitalized now, but will be in nursing care very soon.
Microphone in front of the speaker. So thank you, Gary. I'm going to invite Jake Krakauer to come in here and inspire us, please.
Hello, Rotarians. I wanted to tell you a short story, 3 or 4 minutes, about a person that I've met that has inspired me. When he was in the 1st grade, he remembers a sheriff knocking on the door and telling his family that they had to move. They had nowhere to go. They first moved to one city to live with grandparents for a couple of weeks, then to a rural area where they went camping, but camping was for 3 months. They had no tent, no sleeping bags. They strung up a tarp between 2 trees to block the wind. They would wash their clothes, their dishes with mud, and then they rinsed them in the lake. That's all they had access to. Weekends were exciting because kids would come to the rural area, but Sunday was not fun because then everybody went home. Occasionally they went into town and his mom would buy a candy bar for the 3 kids to share. In his teens, they moved to another town, into a house with his new stepdad. He was old school, and when he turned 17, he was pushed out of the house. So he had just started his senior year in high school, and he was homeless again. He worked for a guy who was a crop duster, had an old camp trailer on his ranch, and he let him stay there. So basically, he was homeless, but at least he had a roof over his head. No heat, no warm water, electricity for lights, but he had to use every life skill to finish high school while working for a crop duster at the same time. After high school, he moved to stay with his grandparents, who had a boarding home. They let him have a tiny room there, and he worked for an electric company until a friend suggested the military, which he then joined. After leaving the service with many life skills, he went on to a successful career to have his own business. In his own words, he has said the following: try not to judge people. Be helpful, because you don't know what they might have gone through. Some people go through a lot harder lives than the rest of us. I've had a tough life, but I'm fortunate. people have helped me my entire life. For those of you that don't know this person is Randy Brown. And I think Randy is with us today. He graciously allowed me to hear his story, and I found it both humbling and very inspiring. So Randy, thank you for your story, for your insight, and for your inspiration.
Well, thank you, Randy, for your inspiration. Thank you. I don't know if
My pleasure,
we'll
I guess.
introduce him in a moment. I'd like to welcome and introduce any Rotarians that are in the room. Yes, Rotarians? Are there one here? Okay.
We have a visiting Rotarian from the Rotary Club of Dublin. He's a past president and he's in the category of electrical contractor. Bob.
Chuck Nod.
If it wasn't for you, President Bill, I wouldn't be here.
Okay, well, thank you, Bob. Do we have any guests of Rotarians here? Oh, we have another one. Okay, yes. Here. Nancy, let me give you this.
Visiting Rotarian from the other club, Heidi Hall, and the category of retired. World traveler, walker.
Welcome, Heidi.
Over here.
Yes. Maurice, if you'd stand up. I'd like to introduce you, the club, to Maurice Geisel, who is our incoming interim superintendent here in the district. So Maurice, welcome to Rotary.
Thank you. Ricky, you have a guest to introduce?
Les, I do. Sorry. I invited someone I just recently met. His name's Les D. Giovanni. Did I get your last name correct? Stand up and say hello and tell us a little bit about yourself real quick.
Thank you very much. So glad to be here today. I'm a co-founder of a nonprofit organization here in the Tri-Valley called Men of Hope. We have about 200 participants. We have a breakfast every second Tuesday of the month. Every Saturday, of the month. And we feed anywhere between 90 and 150 guys. We just never know who's going to show up, right? But I'm glad to be here. Glad to get to know you guys. Thank you.
He really loves what we do with community service and helping the seniors, like when we do Rotary Gives Thanks. So he was very intrigued to hear about our club being involved in that and what we do with that.
Thank you. So it gives me great joy and pleasure to introduce still my #1 son, but not equally loved, and Anton Fair Schweigerle, and my youngest son, Evan Schweigerle.
All right, welcome, guys.
Oh, one thing I forgot to mention, he wanted to be mentioned in We Care first. He probably needs a shoulder surgery. He was fighting bulls in Palma, Spain last year, and then he dislocated his shoulder again, swinging from trees in San Luis Obispo. So anyway, we pray his shoulder be healed.
Thank you. We have some Zoomers today. Randy, would you like to say anything?
Sorry, I'm not there. I'm doing the bout with COVID. I figured I would take it on, but I'm losing.
Yeah, the speaker didn't work there, but there you go. And then we got, hang on.
And we have Dick there.
Hello, fellow
Wait a
Rotarian.
minute. Hang on, Dick. We can't hear you. He wanted to try again, Dick.
Hello, can you hear me?
It's okay. Go ahead, Dick. We'll do our best. Go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Not everybody can, but our speaker situation.
Well, you're the most important one anyway. I just want to give you a quick update. Can I do that at this point? And then we can move on.
Go ahead, Dick. Go ahead.
Just a quick update on our Guatemala long awaited and finally, we hope permanently scheduled delivery of wheelchairs. Bill Wheeler is in the house, I think, and so he can really fill in the details. He and his wife, I think, will be our delegation going down there. I think they leave on the 8th, right, Bill, and coming back on the 13th. The major distribution will take place on the 12th. And I'm sure Bill can fill you in on any details there. Right, Bill?
Absolutely, Dick.
Thank you. Going to be a good distribution, though. We're anxious to get it done.
Thank you, Dick.
I'll finish on that real quick. We're leaving, there's still time if you'd like to go. We're leaving on the 8th. It's a short trip. We're back on Saturday, the 13th. American Airlines flight, another flight down and back. It's about 9 hours, but it's just reasonable. And cost wise, around $1,400 or $1,500 if you still want to book it. And then we're going to stay there for 6 nights in Guatemala. We'll do in-home and deliveries, small deliveries, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Then we have a large distribution on Friday as well. And then a fly day home on the 13th. You're still welcome to come. If you'd like to see me afterwards. Should be a fantastic trip. Making 300 wheelchairs distributed to changing people's lives and really making a difference. We appreciate your support and dollars when you do it, and we'd love to have you come if we'd like to go.
Thank you, Bill.
The good thing about it is if you travel with Bill, he usually picks up the tab on a lot of things.
Yeah, thanks, Dick.
All right, now we get to do one of Ricky's favorite things, and that's induct a new member. So if Matt can come up to the front here, please. And Ricky, I will step aside.
Bring your shirt if you got it, Matt. That nice shirt. Show everybody. All right, it is my honor and privilege as the new member coordinator. Yeah, come on back here, Matt. Great. To introduce when we get a new member and get to interview him slightly to let you all know a little bit about himself. So first of all, Matt, tell us a little bit about your family and that situation.
Hi, everybody. Very happy to be here. I got married last October to my wife, Meryl, and I grew up in Fremont, but I've spent the last 10 years in Colorado. So I came, technically my last Rotary Club was Truckee, but I was only there for 10 months. We were driving up 80 and stopped on the way from Denver here, stopped in Truckee for about 10 months. Yeah, hopefully get some babies soon.
Sounds good. Tell us about your work and vocation.
For work, I help older adults with technology.
You got a very field here.
And yeah, I don't really say it's like not really an age thing. I help anybody who needs help, but I like to call them analog natives versus me as a digital native. I'm not saying there's any in the room, but if you are an analog native, maybe I can help you. I also started a nonprofit called Generation Exchange that connects older adults who need technology help, usually lower income, with high schools or college student volunteers. And in Colorado, we did one workshop a month. People could bring their own devices and questions. You get paired up one-on-one with a friendly, tech-savvy younger person, and the younger person helps the older person with tech, but then doesn't just stop there. The roles switch, and the younger person gets to ask the older person for anything they need help with. So we try to make it a mutually beneficial exchange, hence our name, Generation Exchange. So still, that's my passion project. I'd like to be doing that full time, but hopefully you guys can help me.
Hobbies and interests.
Hobbies and interests. I like playing golf. Clearly, I look like I just came off the course. I like to read. I like to do business. I like Rotary. I like people. I just like being with people and talking to people and learning about stories.
Yeah, definitely. Something funny and or interesting you don't mind sharing with the club.
Something funny. I'll see if I can find. I'll work on the joke, but I've been in Rotary for 5 years. My grandfather was in Rotary, and his Rotary club was the Truckee Rotary Club. So it was a kind of a cool experience because when I went there were some people that still knew his name. So Rotary's been kind of a cool generational thing for me.
Awesome. And then the area of service or areas of service you want to get involved in the club.
I want to help you out. It seems like you're getting work to the bone. But no, I like community service. I just, again, grew up in Fremont, live in Pleasanton now. So I knew of Pleasanton, but I've never been in Pleasanton. So I really look forward to getting in front of people, getting to know the town, getting to know the community. And that's why Rotary is so powerful, because we're all so connected to that. So community service, membership. Once I say I do technology stuff, I usually am probably going to end up behind a laptop at some point. That's kind of how that works. But I like to stay away from computers, actually. But, I know how it goes.
Yeah. All right. Well, we want to give you your red badge. I don't anticipate that you're going to red badge long because you already know a lot about Rotary and are pretty involved. And you also already got, hold up this nice swag shirt that you're going to be wearing, XX. Yep. And I have to confess that I ran out of the new member packets. They're on order, so I don't have one to give you today, but I will get you one after the new. Did you not get a shirt? We'll get you in the back. We'll take care of you in the back. We got them now. Anyway, so would you please give a big round of a round of applause, something like that, to Matt Isola, our newest member. Thanks so much. Nominate him for president. As soon as Marcus finishes, it seems like he's got the answer.
Ricky's been running tech for 5 years. He needs a break. We're happy to have you here, Matt. So welcome. We do have a lot of announcements today. We also have a song and a video. Let's see how much we can cram into. Let's start with the song real quick. Ricky, can you cue it up?
We're going to try if I get the audio to work.
So as you all know, next Thursday is the 4th of July. We will be dark. We will not have a meeting. And because of the 4th of July, I selected this song today for a song. It's the band, which Ricky was a Marine. I don't know. Are there any other Marines in the room? Army. Should I keep announcements right now while he's queuing that up? A demotion dinner. It's Tuesday, July 16th, 5 o'clock. Sidetrack. See Kathy to pay. Thank you. Thank you. So we have a few announcements. I started with the demotion dinner Tuesday, July 16th, 5 p.m. at Sidetrack. We have a committee that's been working out a pretty funny skit, so we hope you can be there to enjoy it. I would like to ask Greg Kirk to come up here for a brief announcement, and then after him will be Nancy Harrington. Sorry, I have so many notes on my agenda. It's changing. That's right. Here we go, Greg.
So just this last Monday, the scholarship committee met from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. Long time, interviewing 10 college applicants for scholarships. These are college students anywhere entering their sophomore, junior, senior, and actually 2 grad students. So that ended our round of issuing scholarships. About a month before, we issued 21 scholarships to high school students, totaling $48,100. And 12 were from Amador, 5 were from Foothill, and 4 were from Village High School. And then for the college students, we awarded 10 scholarships, totaling $36,500. 3 of them were sophomores and 7 were junior, senior, or grad students.
Thank you, Dr. Gregory Kirk. And then let's see, next announcement. Oh, Club Runner. So I was pulling information off of Club Runner, and I don't know if you can see this, but there's a highlighter with a lot of empty boxes on here. And those boxes are like, what's your date of birth? What's your anniversary date? Because the club would like to say happy birthday, and the club would like to say happy anniversary, wedding anniversary. So if you'd like to have that information completed, you can either go into your Club Runner account and enter that information, or you can give it to Kathy at the back of the room and she'll write it on this piece of paper, and I will go into Club Runner and enter your information for you. But it'd be nice to have those details. I think President Jim Hansen would like to say happy birthday to you when it's your birthday. So, or President Matt, yeah. With that, we have Nancy and Gary Harrington.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. You know, this Rotary Club, or Rotary, is such a wonderful organization. And our club has a lot to be feel really wonderful about, all of the things that we've done in our community and internationally also. Today, I'm here to ask your help in helping one of our local Rotarians. He and his family need this help. And forgive me for doing some reading. The person I'm talking about is Mark Tanis. I've worked with he and Chris working out the wording of the flyer that we put together. So I want to make sure that I'm saying what they wanted me to say. His lovely wife, Christine, had to enter the hospital in early October for surgery on her stomach. And everything went fine with that surgery. But septic shock set in, which ultimately affected her extremities. And there was no question that her hands had to be amputated. And they were hopeful her feet will heal. They took her toes, I know that, and I think a little bit more of her feet, but they're hoping that her heels will heal well enough that she'll be able to walk. She had been hospitalized for months, and she has been home for a while. She cannot walk. And of course, she has no hands. Well, I visited Christine at the rehab facility after her first amputation and took them a meal. I couldn't get over what a positive attitude Chris had about this tragedy. She wasn't looking at it as a tragedy, that's my word. All she could think about and express was her frustration at being unable to comb her hair. Excuse me. Or dial numbers on her phone. Or to pick up anything. It's my emotion, it's not Chris and Mark's. Their health insurance was through Christine's employer. And of course, she could no longer work. So then insurance ended. And Mark suddenly found himself physically responsible for their household and needs to care for his love, Christine. So he's, you know him, he's looking into advanced prosthetics. A company called Sonic has what looks like the best prosthetic hand for Christine. They agree that just one of these hands would be enough for her to do what she needs to do. The cost is approximately $45,000. They're not sure if insurance will cover the cost of this prosthetic hand, and they don't know what additional out-of-pocket costs they might incur for her hands and to help her walk again. So just think, if you or your spouse or one of your children or a grandchild suddenly found they had no hands and no ability to walk. Remember, this happened without warning. Combing your hair or bathing, dressing, opening doors, dishwashing, cooking. The list just goes on and on. Personally, Gary and I can't imagine how we would function. But Christine and Mark continue to be very optimistic. Chris says, my amputation does not define who I am. I'm still Chris, and I'm determined to get stronger. I am fighting to get back to being a preschool teacher. Chris continues to do physical therapy to prepare for the prosthetics. Mark and Chris just want to continue to live their lives as best they can. But to do that, this prosthetic is essentially. Well, Mark, you know, if you know him, he's an exemplary Rotarian. He has stepped up often to help the club and our projects. Sometimes we think he's a one-man machine, a very tender-hearted one. We think we should help one of our own. Mark and Christine Tanis. So let's help them raise funds for this prosthetic hands. Any donations would be appreciated and can be made to the Rotary Club of Pleasanton Foundation, a helping hand. Let's step up and help one of our own. Of course, you'll be able to go online and write a check. Or of course, if you have the cash, we'll take the cash. And it's all going to go through the foundation. And Chris and Mark have approved this.
I'm going to continue with this. Like Nancy said, that we have helped the community, we have helped nationally, and we have helped Rotary internationally. Now we have a chance to help our own Rotarians. Mark and Christine have given us the ability to speak to fellow Rotarians about this. So we have their permission. And what I want to say right now is that if you would like to join me in presenting it to Rotarian clubs in our district or in the valley here, I'm going to hope to go to as many as I can go. Or if you have some ideas how we can approach our fellow Rotarians, please contact me. But I want to also include that Nancy and I really are excited about having the chance to help a fellow Rotarian. We are pledging matching funds up to $10,000. So for every dollar you give, we will give $1 to this project. And I want to thank you. And we've already had 3 people give checks to the club, and we want to thank them, and we want to thank all of you for this opportunity.
Thank you very much. They've been really, really super, both Mark and Chris. Amazing couple, amazing couple. Thank you.
I would like to share one more thing about Mark and Chris. Mark's become super close friend of mine. And so I've been talking to him. I visited Chris at the rehab center several times. And when we were doing our search as the most recent past presidents, so that would be Bill, myself, Randy, Gary, his name came up as being nominated for our future president after Jim Hansen in the next Rotary year. And I told Randy, I said, I think I would feel really badly about asking him, given what he's going through with Chris at this time. And Randy said, well, he can turn me down, but I think we should ask him anyway. And I was totally blown away that his response was, let me ask Chris in a year from now, when it's time for me to actually be the president, I think we'll be through all this and we'll be well on the road to recovery. I was just really stunned that he and his wife, Chris, who's going through all this, said, yeah, we'll be the Rotary president in the following year. So I think that really speaks to his character, who she is, and their family. And I hope that helps encourage us to be generous as a club towards them. I just wanted to share that.
Thank you, Ricky. And thank you, Gary and Nancy, for again leading our club in so many ways that we help other people. We're gonna punt right now. We're gonna skip the RI video, Ricky. Okay, we're kind of out of time, but I'm going to give you 10 seconds about it. So I had a WASH video picked out for today. WASH is water, sanitation, hygiene. Our club is on its 10th project. Is that correct? We're on our 14th project. See, I can't even keep up with them because they're doing so many of them. But take a look at the brochure on your table or the piece of paper on your table that's talking about the WASH projects. This club, along with the Harrington's leadership and some district grant, is doing a lot of impact in people's lives with clean water and sanitation. It's time for our program, and it's my pleasure to introduce our very own member and superintendent of our school district, Dr. David Haglund. So come on up here, David.
Thank you, Bill. All right, so thank you for having the honor of addressing you one more time before I head out the door here. As you all probably know, I'm retiring, and today is actually my last day in the school district. So it's been 7 years since I came to Pleasanton back in June of 2017. And I have had an absolute pleasure. It's been an honor, probably the honor of my life, to be able to serve the community of Pleasanton. And transitioning for me is not easy. And so if I tear up, I'm sorry. I don't mean to do that. It's just a part of my nature. And I do want to say some thanks and thank some people personally. So that's probably going to happen. So I'm going to warn you ahead of time. But there were priorities given to me by the Board of Education when I came into the district. And one of those was to stabilize the district leadership. There was a lot of churn that was going on in the district. And because of the way I think the board at the time, or even boards before that group, had interacted with each other, there was some challenges with communication and trust between the school district and the community. And so their ask of me was to make it a priority to try to settle that down and to build some relationships with the community. And I have to say that two of the first relationships that I came up with here in the district were both Rotarians, and one's in the room and one's on Zoom. And so I want to publicly acknowledge two people. Randy Brown, if you're still up there on the Zoom call, Randy helped me buy my house in the area, and then just recently helped me sell it. And so thank you to Randy for his help through that process, and Lisa. That's always, what's that?
Double-ended deal.
Yeah. I wasn't going to say that. That was Bill Wheeler. I did not comment on your fees. I'll tell you what, I'm glad he was a Rotarian, and more importantly, I'm glad he's a good man and his wife's a good woman, and they really give a lot to the community of Pleasanton, so I'm happy to support them. The other is one of the first people I met in Pleasanton when I was walking down during one of the first, what did they call them? The first Wednesdays, when they used to close off downtown, and there were pop tents up there and people would walk. And I was down there with Patrick Gannon, our communications director, standing at the tent, and up comes Brad Hurst. Yeah. And Brad introduced himself, and he invited me to Rotary, of course, but more important than that, he invited me to go on a car ride with him. And so within my first month of being in the district, I got the Brad Hurst tour of Pleasanton, which really was supposed to be a one-day gig. And it ended up being 3 evenings, I believe, if I remember correctly. I think he bought dinner one night, I bought dinner one night, and what he did is he educated me about the history of Pleasanton. And I don't know, but we may have driven down every single freaking street in the community. And we had scheduled a 4th night, but ended up, I don't think we did the 4th one after all. But by that time I had known my way around, and people were absolutely amazed that I could get from school to school to school in my first month in the job. And that's all because Brad. So 2 Rotarians who reached out and welcomed me into the community, ensured that I got my roots planted. And I will forever be grateful for that, but also forever ashamed that I've never achieved beyond my red badge. So That's my great shame that I will take with me down to Santa Ana. I don't know what I did. The other thing that the board, actually, I think I learned it before they asked it, but I came from Santa Ana Unified School District. Santa Ana is a very high poverty community. And I had worked there for 3 years before I took the job here in Pleasanton. When I came up to Pleasanton, after I figured out where it was and learned a little bit about the community, I visited all of the schools. And as I went to the schools, I started to, this amazing question in my head was, how could the schools in Pleasanton look like this and the schools in Santa Ana look like that? Their schools were far, far in better conditions than the schools here in Pleasanton. And that shocked me. I did not expect that. So when I asked the question, they talked to me about the bond they had just passed, and they said, we got plans for that. And that was wonderful. We were rebuilding Leidixon Elementary School and doing some construction work at Amador and Foothill, but there's 12 other schools. What are we going to do about those? And so we jumped in with the plan to complete those bond projects, but also start running out a second bond. You guys remember Measure M? Yeah, you remember when I came to you and asked for your support? Yeah, and I got a lot of support, and then I also got COVID. A week before the election, or excuse me, a week after the election, we closed down schools. A month before the election, the global economy was sinking, and people's confidence about their own economic circumstances was shaken, and so that bond didn't pass. So we had to go back out a few years later, and in 2022, with some of your support, we were able to pass Measure I. Don't ask me how we ended up with 2 Measure I's. But that will result, when you take the 2 bonds together and add the savings and the additional dollars that the state puts towards our projects because the community is investing, we will have invested, by the time Measure I is completed, over $800 million in facility improvements here in the community. And that's because of you all and your support. So thank you for that. And give yourselves a round of applause if you would, please. Nobody likes additional taxes. I haven't met a person who loves to pay additional taxes. But this community and the students and families who live in this community deserve to have facilities that are representative of the values of the community. And that's what's happening now. So good on you all for doing that. I'm glad I got to play a little teeny tiny role in helping some of that happen. And I hope I get invited back when it's time to do some ribbon cuttings at the new Foothill Theater and the new gyms and theater at Amador Valley High School. And my personal favorite project is the new Educational Options Center that's going to sit where the old district offered property sat on Bernal. And if you've driven by there recently, you'll note there's a whole bunch of portable classrooms out in the parking lot there. And that's because we're getting ready to start doing the work to build that new campus. And so I'm very, very proud and grateful to the community for supporting that work. We've strengthened the collaboration between the city and with the community as well. We've adjusted school boundaries. They needed to be adjusted for a while. And we've also gone to trustee area elections so that the school board would be reflective of the community. Historically, most of the trustees were being elected out of really a 2-mile area around Walnut Grove Elementary School. And now we're set so that there are going to be trustees elected from 5 different areas in the school district, 3 of which are up for election in November. So I hope you're paying attention to that. And then I was asked to work on managing surplus properties in the district. And again, thank you to Brad and others who sat on the 7-Eleven committee to look at what we might be able to do with some of those properties, not just to sell them to put a check in the back, but maybe looking at how we might be able to leverage those properties so that they produce some income to the school district as well. So, Brad, I'm not going to engage with you. I'm not going to engage. I love Brad. So I'll engage with everybody else and you just have to sit there. If there's a way to take a piece of property that's been sitting fallow and not returning profit to the school district and purchase new properties that could, that might be a reason to sell a piece of property, not just to put dollars in your bank, but to ensure that you have additional incoming and to support students and teachers in the classrooms. And so that's where we're at with that. I won't be here, so you can talk to other people about that strategy there. On the horizon, we've got significant budget challenges. As you're probably all aware, the state's economic circumstances is a bit like riding a roller coaster at Magic Mountain. And they're doing their best to figure it out as they go along, but it's a bit like a cat with a laser pointer. You ever played that game? Cats love to chase that little ball of light. And that's what we feel like sometimes as the state moves the ball, because all of our funding comes from the state for schools in Pleasanton. Our property taxes do not fully fund the education in the community. So that's going to be a rough ride over the next few years. And I'm glad we've got Ahmad Sheikh Islami sitting back there, our business guy. Let's give Ahmad a great round of applause. Again, another Rotarian, and my number one hire in 7 years is that guy right there. So you guys have got a winner. So keep him accountable, but also keep him supported, because there's going to be some hard work that has to be done, and he's good for it. His team is good for it. We've had many programmatic shifts in our educational program in the district. COVID taught us a lot. It challenged us a lot. There's no question about that, but it also taught us that there's other ways we can do school and that some kids actually do better in new models while other kids prefer the existing models of school. And so the Pleasanton Virtual Academy, which is one of the programs that will be housed at the new Educational Options Center, is drawing enrollment. We're a declining enrollment school district. Y'all know that, right? When the enrollment declines, that means the dollars that come from the state's budget goes down as well. One of the only ways to counter that is to build programs that draw new revenue. And the Riverside Virtual School has drawn 40 students that aren't from Pleasanton. That's new revenue to the district. And a big group of them are kids that play on a hockey team. They can't play hockey and be in school all day long at the same time. So when they found that program and realized they could get a educational program that would provide A through G completion for them and a California high school diploma that counted everywhere it needed to count, they brought their kids to that school program. And that's, again, new revenue to the district. There's other programs that you'll hear about that will drive additional revenues as well. And then lastly, I just want to say that in addition to being grateful for all the things that you've done in terms of being supportive of me, I want to just say how personally grateful I am for those of you that supported me as I went through some very difficult times here in the district. Not probably that many of you knew about, but I lost my brother to brain cancer during the time I was here. I lost my father during the time I was here, and COVID took out 5 different family members. So it was a really, really tough time emotionally. And there was a moment in time when the nastiness in the Pleasanton Weekly was about ready to make me walk away, because I just couldn't deal with all that loss and the vitriol that was coming out of that place. And I got a call from another Rotarian at the time, Bill Wheeler, who basically told me to knock it off, stop reading that. He used the word, yeah. So he made a deal with me. I'll read it, he said. If there's anything I think you need to know about, I'll tell you. Otherwise, ignore it. And because he was able to do that for me at that time, I was able to let go of that negativity and focus on the kids again. And so thank you, Bill. So a number of different Rotarians who changed my life and helped me do what I could do to support the kids and the families in this community. And you're all involved in that, and I appreciate you for that. The last thing I want to do is I want to introduce Maurice Giesels, who's the new interim superintendent here in Pleasanton Unified. You may have seen him around town lately because he's been around meeting with people and talking with people. And as of the end of the month, actually probably before then, knowing him, he will take over the helm. My last night's tonight, so I'll see you all at the board meeting. You can say goodbye, just kidding. But when I'm done, I'm gonna leave my keys on the table there and I'm getting in my car and driving to Southern California, grateful for the time that I've had with this community. So let me introduce Maurice so he can share a little bit about himself.
Thank you so much. Wait, I thought that badge was orange. Oh, that's the new one. Gee, I thought you went from red to orange. Oh, man, I was gonna say, I want to maybe get a red badge and then I want to get to an orange. David, you know, I'm not going to talk about my past. The letter's going to come out next week and all that about my background. I want it to be really about praise and gratitude for you. And I didn't know some of those personal things that you just shared. You know, just some of the big punctuation marks here. $800 million in bond. Thank you. It's just unbelievable. The second one, not just the personal impact that COVID had on you. Do you know how hard it was for a superintendent, a teacher, anyone in education to get through COVID? And you got through it. And probably your biggest accomplishment, and thank you, is you made it for 7 years. Who makes it for 7 years as a superintendent through all that? There's a lot more, but let's give him a big round of applause again. You know, I'm so impressed with this organization. I've been involved with Rotaries in different cities. You'll see on my vitae. I can't believe the energy in here, everything from Guatemala, the very moving Mark and Chris story. That's a wonderful story. Scholarships, high-tech help. I love the reverse thing. The list goes on and on. I can't wait to become a part of your group. And next time when I come, I'll talk business and be more forward thinking. I actually moved to Pleasanton as a teenager, and I'm going to tell stories while I still can, because once I hit the ground running on Monday, no one's going to care what my background is. It's going to be, what are you doing in the future? What have you done for me lately, right? But I want to just tell one story, and that's of this room. So I graduated from Amador, taught at Amador. My family is a part of this community. But in 1973, when I turned 16 as a high school student, I came to the Pleasanton Hotel and became a dishwasher. My first W-2. Then I really got big. I wore a tie and I became a busboy. Now, I don't think I've been back in this room. I worked there from 73 through a bit of college through 76. I worked with people like Dean Spraja, David Strafacci, connected with the Sweeneys. We'll talk about names on the side. But I'm telling you, it's kind of like an out-of-body experience for me today. Being here in high school and coming back here where I am now. It's like, what does all this mean? This place was a different world back then. For one thing, they had Chateaubriand. They had deep fried baked potatoes. They put bacon grease and white sugar on everything. It was hands down the best restaurant in the Bay Area. And you can't find them like that anymore. And let me tell you about the working conditions. You couldn't talk about this. You couldn't act like this now. It was beyond hostile. It was pretty much quasi-violent. The first time as a busboy, I walked into the kitchen, I walked into the walk-in refrigerator and a guy came up to me, a sous chef, and he put a 12-inch knife to my neck and he goes, "Don't you know there's not supposed to be any busboys in the refrigerator?" And he meant it. Terry Huff, the owner, used to say to us, "Get your hands out of your pocket, move faster, quit talking," and a lot of other things that I can't even say today. But it was just a remarkable place. Wanda, she was from Kansas City, ran it. All the guys get drunk at the bar every night. It was just so cool. I wish they could make like a movie about it. And to be in this room right now, walking 50,000 steps when I was 16, 17 years old. And then later, we painted the upstairs, Dave Strophus and I, because Wanda liked us. We were like kids to her. I learned how to paint, and that's how I got through college, by painting, because I've never had so much disposable cash in my life, painting houses. But it was so great, but I was freaked out because I knew we were causing permanent destruction to an historical place, the way we were painting. One night, which is worth mentioning, I was a high school economics teacher teaching seniors. And that was the night when George Spiliotopoulos, the owner of the cheese factory, walked across the street on a foggy night. His good friend was Terry Huff, the owner, and he was killed. As a teacher, it was unbelievable because I had a son in my class. So I could tell you so much more. I married my first wife in that garden. And believe it or not, we're still friends. I actually talked to her this morning. But again, full circle, I can't tell you what an honor and a privilege it is to be here and to not follow Dave, not walk in his shoes. I'm interim. That means short time. I hung my ties up and threw them away 8 years ago as a superintendent. I'm not filling his shoes. I'm slipping in and out of his flip-flops. So that's it. The last thing I want to say is thank you again. And I do want to also say, Ahmad Shikul Islami, thank you for coming here. He and I worked in Menlo Park. He was my CBO, CFO. We worked together for 6 years. And I love this place so much, I encouraged him to apply. I helped him get the job. You're not going to find a construction person, a finance person, a super centered, really great spirit than Ahmad Shikul Islami. So thank you. And oh, my last thing, I can't wait to get a shirt.
Well, thank you, Maurice. Ricky will get you hooked up and we'll get you to be a member here pretty quickly. We're going to have opportunity drawing in just a moment from Audrey, but first, Bill Wheeler is going to come up here and make a quick.
I just put together a note here just for a few minutes. Just want to be able to say something kind to him. I remember when David came and did his talk, did his red badge talk. He still has red badge, of course, but when he did his red badge talk, he spoke about high school and what he was doing in high school and those kinds of things. And he said he decided not to graduate high school during those high school years. That he was, I think, at the time surfing and partying. Well, a little bit of that stuff, okay, which immediately made him my brother. And some maybe don't know, my mother was a school teacher, graduate of Stanford, hard to believe, and also a superintendent of schools in Dixie School District 50 years ago when I was growing up. And I did a horrible job I did a great job embarrassing her in the public and everywhere in the schools that there was. And that's the pittance I've been paying. That's why I've been in PPIE and also involved with the school board. But I want to also tell you, it was a concern of all of us. If you remember back 7 years ago, we were in a quagmire. It was a giant problem in PUSD. We had two very not great superintendents before that. We needed somebody to come in here and really take charge and lead us and mend what had happened before us. David, you've touched countless lives with your generosity, wisdom, and the kind, humble spirit that defines you. Your contributions have not only advanced our field, our schools, but have also fostered an environment of collaboration and respect. It's been an honor to work alongside you.
and to witness the positive impact that you have had on both our colleagues and our community. Thank you, Doctor, for your years of service, your emotional intelligence, your boundless generosity. We wish you joy, relaxation, and new adventures in your retirement. We appreciate the service that you provided for us. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you very much.
Well said, Bill. Well said. Time to get the surfboard out and put some wax on it, huh? Okay, Audrey, would you like to throw a number here?
$137.
Here we go. Bill Burke's probably gonna win. Okay, the last four are 4, 7, 8. Steve. Come.
Okay,
Grab the
here we
red
go.
one.
The red one.
Magic red one. We have to.
Blue. Stay here just in case. The next number is 473. It's close enough to 478. Steve might have it. Okay, 473. Maurice. You're trying for the red one.
You only get half the money.
Oh, well, that was fun, huh? Everybody enjoy that? All right, remember, there's no meeting next week. It's the 4th of July. Enjoy that. And when we resume on July 11th, President Jim Hansen will be standing right here presiding, so. Adjourned.